There was a report today from ESPN.com about the dysfunction in Philadelphia. We know something went on last year when the Eagles fell apart down the stretch. There have been all sorts of reports as to what it was. At one point, I think it was Derek Gunn who reported that the absence of Big Dom from the sidelines for the balance of the regular season after he was ejected during that 49ers game for putting hands on Dre Greenlaw, the 49ers linebacker, that was in some way a factor in the collapse. This ESPN article puts it squarely on the relationship between Coach Nick Sirianni and quarterback Jalen Hurts. I'll defer to the article we've written to try to summarize the high points of the ESPN article. Sometimes these articles, I'm trying to be nice since I just went through a near-death experience. Sometimes they're longer than they need to be. So one of our functions is to read the whole thing so you don't have to and boil it down to the most important stuff, which is fine. It's fine. Some people want to read the long articles. Some people just want to know what's in the long articles. So we try to, and we give full credit, and we run the links back if you want to read the whole thing, but we try to look at it and apply our own spin as to what's going on and what may happen in the future. And look, we know there were a couple of days where we wondered whether Nick Sirianni was going to be fired after they got embarrassed by the Buccaneers in the wild card round. And one of the things I pointed out in the offseason, and this sent a bunch of Eagles fans into a tizzy, but the way the Jalen Hurts contract was structured, if he wanted out after last year, his contract was tradable. If somebody wanted to step in the shoes of the Eagles post-2023 and pick up that contract from 2024 onward, it was tradable. They could have moved on from either guy. They decided to keep both, even though this ESPN report makes it clear that it's a dysfunctional relationship between the two. And it ends with something like, are they going to have dinner together? Probably not, but, they're able to work together. I wouldn't call it hatred. I mean, that's not exactly the kind of ringing endorsement that you want to have in place between coach and quarterback. And the quarterback probably thinks, I will outlive the coach because I've got the contract with all the guarantees and whatnot. I don't know. Maybe both are gone after this year. I don't know. There's a lot of pressure this year, clearly on Sirianni and definitely on Hurts to live up to the contract, to get the team to where it needs to be, to find a way to work with the coach. The next coach may not want him. Every GM wants his own coach. Every coach wants his own quarterback. That's how it works when new hires are made. If there's a new head coach next year, is there any guarantee the new head coach wants Jalen Hurts? I don't know. And this year will be a factor in that. One of the things I thought was fascinating, and Hurts was asked about it today at a press conference, after the regular season ended and before the playoff game, he called up Wink Martindale, the Giants defensive coordinator, to try to figure out what defenses were doing against the Eagles. I mean, you're kind of going beyond the chain of command. You're going outside the coaching staff. It just was something that seemed unusual. On one hand, you can say, hey, the guy's just being thorough, but it tells you at a certain level that you don't think you're going to get the answers you need by keeping it in-house. So you're seeking out answers away from the building. We'll see how it plays out this year. Tons of pressure on everyone in Philadelphia to put that team back to where it was last year through 11 games and to finish the job. They were the best team in football through 11 games, and then it all fell apart. You could just say, hey, they got their asses kicked by the 49ers, and they never quite recovered from it. Maybe that's it. But ultimately, it's on the coach at some point to hit that reset button, to get them to stop digging and to turn around and get out of the hole they found themselves in. And they never were quite able to do it, even in the postseason, when they were favored to beat the Buccaneers. They were still regarded as one of the best teams in football, and they were embarrassed and outclassed by the Buccaneers. And I was surprised that Sirianni wasn't fired and replaced with Bill Belichick. And this year, that's going to loom over Philadelphia. Belichick's presence, and we've seen more and more media outlets he's going to be working for during the season. He is going to hover over three teams in the NFC East: the Cowboys, the Giants, and the Eagles. And when you go back to the ESPN long read about what went wrong with Belichick in Atlanta and why he wasn't hired, it is corroborated in there that there was interest in Belichick in Washington. The Commanders might ultimately regret not hiring Belichick now because he could land with one of their three division rivals as soon as next year. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.